Resource Management Act, this is a huge document. It's about 80,000 pages long. It's huge. So my question is, because this has been one that's talked about, does it make houses a lot cheaper to build? $15,000 to $20,000. Let's start with you, Julianne, because Shamvil Yakov, the economist, says it does a heck of a lot.
Does he?
Yes, he
no,
does.
Actually, if you look at research here in New
expensive.
Zealand, like NZIER's research, which, Shamvil works for NZIER, it says that actually planning regulations are only responsible for a small proportion of the total difference in cost. There's a lot going on, but it's not the RMA. Can I say it's not the purpose of the RMA that causes that? It's actually the rules and the district plans. Productivity Commission draft report out today says that as well. So we can fix that without changing the purpose of the RMA, which is to protect the places we love.
There's a lot of rules, though, aren't there? There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of red tape, isn't there, Phil, with the RMA? Yeah, with red tape.
Well, you want to streamline the red tape, but I remember a government that thought they could deregulate everything and they'd save a lot of money. And yeah, right. You remember the leaky building syndrome? Cost us $20 billion. So the rules are often there for a purpose. And I just don't buy this line from Nick Smith that the whole problem with housing is because of the RMA. In 2003, 4 and 5, we were building 12,000 houses a year in Auckland. By 2010, 11, 12, it had dropped to 3,000.
But it's not just
nothing to do with the RMA.
It's not just him saying it. I was saying Shamvil Yakov saying you've got the minimum height restrictions, you've got the sightseeing, you need to be able to see the volcanoes, you've got all those things. Adds $1,000 to a house. And it's the NIMBYism, it's not in my backyardism that's ruining all this.
Well, I like to see the mounts in Auckland. I think that's great. I don't want to see, buildings like the Pines going up all around the mountains and destroying what is the outstanding feature of Auckland for me. So it's a balance. You've got to provide proper environmental protections, but you've got to try to minimise the costs and certainly cut out the unnecessary red tape.
Okay, Mark Mitchell, what do you think?
Not the whole answer.
What do you think about it? Why do you want to change it?
Well, number one, I just want to address what Phil said. So, firstly, Nick's not wanting to remove all the rules, and secondly, he's never come out and said that the RMA is going to solve everything. It's just part of a suite of measures that he's taking. And if you know Nick Smith, you know that he was probably one of the first guys in New Zealand to get an electric car, and he's one of the biggest environmentalists within our caucus. So, I just think that the RMA is just one of a measure of a suite of measures that we're taking to make sure that we do make housing more affordable.
Is this the peeling away of regulation? Are we going to be seeing more leaky buildings? What do you think, Marama?
Look, 92% of all the applications for RMA consent are granted. We're not holding up the process of things being done here. We need to make sure that the RMA is about economic, not about economic development, but about environmental protection. That's what the purpose of it was, and that's what it needs to stay. I think that if you want to solve the Auckland housing crisis, take out Auckland and make a separate piece of legislation for that.
What about this? Bob Jones had to consult 13 iwi to replace a ground floor window. I mean, is that crazy or what?
Listen, the iwi are not the reason that RMA consents are being held up, and I can prove that all across the country. The reason that RMA consents are being held up is from the regional councils, local councils, all of the stipulations that they're putting on, and they're making money off it. Iwi are not. Iwi just want to make sure that you don't put a house on their burial site.
Right, Julianne.
The rules in the district plan that you're talking about have nothing to do with the purpose or principles of the RMA. And what we've argued is that we need a national policy statement, national environmental standard on urban development rules that would clear this up. You don't need to change the RMA to fix those planning rules.
What I've been hearing, various reports have said that over the last 10 years, the Resource Management Act has added $30 billion to the cost of building and reduced new housing stock by 40,000 homes.
Look,
is that right?
What report is that?
Yeah,
various reports.
You don't want to believe everything you read, Wallace, and you know that. But look, hey, here's a challenge to Nick Smith. If Nick's watching us out there, why doesn't he put on the table what he wants to do? We've said we're happy to work cooperatively to make the sensible changes, but not to give away the basic principles of environmental protection.
Right.
If we can do sensible things, let's all do it together. I think we could get together and do it.
Why not have a commission of inquiry? The original author of the Act, Sir Geoffrey Palmer, has called for a commission of inquiry. We would support that. But National wants to do it their way, and what they want to do is undermine environmental protection. That's not going to make housing cheaper.
Well, Mark, what do you want to do?
The national government committed to doing a complete review of the RMA and making sure that it was fit for purpose, that it wasn't actually... it's been taken, and Marama is absolutely right, is that councils have taken, and it's so wide open to interpretation that it's layered massive compliance costs onto people, and that's what we want to see removed.
And are those compliance costs, is that what we're seeing in Auckland? Does that add to the cost of houses? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely.
Does it
yes,
add to the cost of houses? Does it add to the cost of houses?
Some of the
course it
planning
does.
rules do, but that has nothing to do with the purpose of the RMA, which is what National is trying to change. They want to make it
But it
less
still
about
adds to
environmental
the cost,
protection.
doesn't it? It still
Yeah, and
adds
we
to the
support
cost of
the
houses.
changes. The changes that are proposed in the Productivity Commission's draft report are practically Green Party policy, and we've been calling for it for a long time.
All right, final thoughts?
Yeah,
Phil?
do the sensible things, but just remember the leaky housing situation. $20 billion. A lot of people suffered. A lot of people are still suffering because of that, because some government thought they could deregulate everything without the need for any protection.